In this week's Pop Culture Quickies, we have the possible dismissal of Kevin Feige, the Bam Bam Bam, the commander of Marvel. Stay informed, we will give all the details whether this is a rumor or has any basis. Finally, a light of hope has been lit where we will have our Savage Hulk back and we will say goodbye to Professor Nutella Hulk. So, did you get excited about the news? Want to know more information? You'll find out in today's video. Additionally, also Tom Holland's Spider-Man out of Disney. Understand everything that is happening. Comment below which news caught your attention the most. And also, if you are already subscribed to the channel, leave a trust like. And if it's your first time here, watch a bit. And if you like something, go ahead and subscribe, leave a like, share, and comment. Let's go straight to the quick news.
You won't believe it. After years stuck in this yoga teacher's body, it's finally my turn. The Savage Hulk is coming back to the MCU. Nothing against Professor Hulk, of course, but let's be honest. A Hulk who stays calm and talks about philosophy isn't exactly what the fans wanted to see. And it seems that Marvel has finally understood that. Get ready, because something big is coming. By the way, before I continue, I need to take a moment for that. Boring, but necessary. Subscribe to the channel and leave a like, because if I don't ask, you won't do it. I know how it works. Since I'm here, I'll just give you a heads up. Whoever watches the video and doesn't subscribe, I'm going to show up at your house and smash your remote control. That's right, no more. Netflix for you. Now that I've made that clear, let's keep going. The big news came from a leak of concept art from Avengers: Secret Wars. In it, I appear alongside She-Hulk and a guy they say is my son Scar. And here's the thing, I'm huge and furious. No t-shirt, no posture zen, just rage and destruction. Just the way you want it. In addition, the images show several other Rooks in the background. This leads us to believe that the famous Greenland from the comics might be coming to the MCU. If you've never heard of Greenland, let me explain it to you. In the comics, it's an area in Battleworld that was devastated by bombs. Gamma. The result? A whole world populated by Hulk. In other words, a paradise for me. Now just imagine an army of Hulk joining forces against Dr. Doom, who is likely to be the big villain in the next arc of the MCU. This is what a real superhero movie looks like. Another thing that became clear is that She-Hulk is going to be in all this chaos, whether she wants to or not. According to the leaked information, she's going to end up being forced to fight by my side, even though she'd prefer the life of a lawyer. Well, nobody chooses to be a Hulk, right? And before you ask me, what about the so-called World War Hulk? That's right. It seems that Marvel has kind of given up on making a movie just about that. Instead, all this Hulk chaos could happen within the next Avengers. The good side is that, if it's done well, it could even be better than a solo movie. After all, I'll be surrounded by others. Hulk, punching, destroying, and smashing everyone. But what about Red Hulk? General Ross is also involved in this chaos. Everything. And we already know that he appeared in Captain America, The Amazing New World. The scene where he fights Captain America was one of the most talked about during the leak. And after the movie premiered, he went into Wild Hulk mode and showed that he's not messing around. This could be an indication that the Hulks will be much more present in the future of the MCU than we imagine. Oh, and another interesting thing. Do you remember that post-credits scene from Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings? Bruce Banner was there with a broken arm and far from his Professor Hulk form. A lot of people speculated that this could be an indication that my return had been planned for some time. It seems that Marvel has been dropping these hints little by little, and now, finally, decided to go down this path. Now I want to know, are you excited about my return? Do you think they're finally going to do justice to the real Hulk? Comment below. And seriously, if you haven't liked and subscribed yet, be careful. I might not show up at your house, but I'll be hoping your Wi-Fi goes down right when you're watching your favorite show. Or worse, I might knock on your door and knock over your entire shelf while shouting, Hulk smash. Don't say I didn't warn you. Choose wisely.
You know, when you've been doing great at work for years, revolutionizing the industry, becoming a reference, and then suddenly, some guy out of nowhere comes asking for your head. Well, this week, Kevin Feige was woken up by one of those. Rob Liefeld, the creator of Deadpool, decided that I'm the problem at Marvel, and that it's time for me to take my hat and leave. Literally. But hold on, keep that indignation in check, because there's a lot to unpack in this story. By the way, before I continue, I'm going to ask for that cliche that I hate. Subscribe to the channel and leave a like. I know I hate to make this request too, but I've realized that if I don't say it, you'll watch. You leave and pretend like nothing happened. So, let's turn this karma around. If you don't subscribe and like, I'll scale the Thor 5 script to be worse than Thor. Love and Thunder. And look, the threat is serious. Back to the chaos. Rob Liefeld is a guy who has no filter. He's already clashed with everyone, gone back and forth with Marvel a few times, and now he decided that I'm the main culprit for everything that's going wrong at the studio. According to him, I brushed past him at the premiere of Deadpool and Wolverine, and now he wants to see me out of Marvel. Sounds like a mature argument, right? But it doesn't stop there. The real reason for his outburst is that Captain America, Brave New World dropped 82% at the box office between the first and second week. And yes, that's concerning. The movie cost about $300 million and has made $291 million so far. In other words, it hasn't even made back its budget yet. But am I really the one to blame? Is that why? Let's take it easy. Some people are saying that the problem is this so-called superhero movie fatigue. But to be honest, the audience hasn't grown tired of superhero movies. Tired of bad superhero movies? When something really excites people like Avengers Endgame, everyone rushes to the cinema. What's happening is that Marvel has lost its touch a bit lately. And look, I accept it, criticism. But who here has never had a rough patch at work? Now, Liefeld compared Marvel to sports teams and said that if he were a coach, I would have already been fired. Okay, but Marvel isn't a team that changes coaches every season. We built an entire universe over the years, and yes, there are challenges. But is it really me? Is the problem something bigger? Rolling. In the meantime, he plays the card of 8 failures in 3 years. That's a sensationalist way of telling the story. The movies weren't mega hits, but they also weren't complete disasters. And besides, Marvel has always been a long-term studio, with its ups and downs. What he doesn't mention is that even when a movie doesn't hit big, it still sells toys, comics, subscriptions, Disney Plus, and so on. And speaking of the future, some people are betting all their chips on Thunderbolts and the Fantastic Four to turn this phase around. I hope they work, but can one movie really save everything? Or do we need a bigger plan? And here comes the big question. Is Liefeld right, or is he just taking advantage of the moment to stir up controversy and attention? By the way, there's a curious detail that no one is talking about. Liefeld has had similar beefs in the past. When he helped found Image Comics, his departure from the publisher was also turbulent. He had a falling out with other partners, left shooting his mouth off, and then came back trying to fix the situation. This shows that he likes a bit of drama. But his predictions aren't always right. And there's more. Before attacking Marvel, he also had issues with DC. Once, he publicly criticized the way the publisher treated the artists and how they made decisions. In other words, the guy isn't afraid to confront others. But does he really want to help? Or does he just like to stir things up? Now, I want to hear from you all. Am I the problem? Or is there something bigger happening behind the scenes? Comment here, because I really want to see what you all think. And if you don't comment, I'll let you know that I'm going to reboot Inhumans and turn it into a musical. Then, you'll really have a reason to hate me. Subscribe, hit the bell, and let's keep following this soap opera.
You won't believe what happened to me. From one day to the next, poof, I disappeared from Disney. I, Spider-Man, who swings through New York like it's my backyard. I'm now exiled from Disney. How did this happen? Well, sit tight because here comes the story. Because the answer involves contract and lawyers. And Sony is even jealous of my suit. Before I get into the details, I need to ask a favor, but no pressure, okay? Look, I hate asking for subscriptions and likes, but if I don't do it, I know you're going to watch, laugh, and sneak away without leaving that moral support. And it's not fair. So, subscribe and leave a like, or I personally will web you up in the middle of New York traffic. And don't come crying to me later. Now back to the chaos. Did you know that the ones in charge in Hollywood aren't the directors or the producers, but the lawyers? Well, while I'm out saving the world, there are people in suits and ties deciding where my face can or can't appear. And Sony's lawyers have such a tight contract that not even I can escape it. When Marvel wanted to put me on Disney, Sony looked and said, "Not here, sweetheart." And I was left out. Remember when I first appeared in the MCU back in Civil War? That was a negotiation worthy of a lightning kidnap. Marvel and Sony made a deal for me to play around in the Avengers movie, but without laying a finger on Disney. The result? My friends have series, but me? Not even a little bit. Seriously. It's ridiculous. The Daredevil, who lives in the same city as me, is getting a new series. He appeared in my movie, but I can't even say H-I in his... Is that right? It almost seems like Sony is afraid I'll like another team and decide to switch houses. And before you ask, but Tom, Is Sony at least doing something with you? Well, yes, but hold your expectations. They have plans to put some guy called Spider-Man on the air in a series for Amazon, starring Nicolas Cage. Yeah, I was replaced by Nicolas Cage. I don't know if I should feel honored or insulted. Now, if you think all of this is an exaggeration, just look at Sony's history with Spider-Man. Remember Andrew Garfield? Well, after 2 movies that didn't even finish the character's story, Sony just jumped ship because it wasn't making the money it wanted. What matters is not whether you like the story or not. It's whether it makes a profit or not. To make matters worse, Sony doesn't want to let Spider-Man go to Disney, but they're also not doing anything very significant. In the live-action series, except for the Spider-Man project on the air, they have vague plans to expand this universe, but so far, nothing concrete. In the meantime, I'm just here like a fancy extra, waiting to be called for the next Avengers fight. Now, seriously, subscribe to the channel. If you don't do that, I'm going to ask Doctor Strange to cast a spell that makes you forget your Netflix password. Later, don't say I didn't warn you. Thanks, and until next time.